All right. Thanks. Am I seeing things?
Damn it, Jim, I'm a duck. Security guard. Damn it, Jim, I'm a duck. Security guard. How do I compare thee to a summer's day? Sir, what are you doing?
Seriously, buddy, you are on thin ice here. You can't keep going places you shouldn't be. Come on, I'm serious.
Doors closing. Doors opening.
I don't know why you want to talk to me, but I've been told I have to accommodate you. I do hope you have something interesting to ask. This is Miss Allison Whitworth. I'll be translating for you if you have any questions for her. Shall we just get on with it? You want to ask me about Carla's answer machine. I have no idea what you're... That means nothing to me. Oh, what do you need to know? Sounds ominous. Has Carla done something wrong? From the night it happened? Right, that is something. Listen, between you and me, Allie's one of the good guys. Try not to involve her in something bad. Fine. I'll ask, but don't push it. What do you want me to say? Nice and simple. She says no. Just that. She's telling the truth. Obviously, she didn't hear it either. Yeah, no, she says it was definitely broken, so there was nothing to hear. No, she would have said. Are you trying to find out what the answer machine said or something? Oh. And is she? A little backhanded, if I'm honest. I'm not sure I approve of your technique. Shall we move on? What's Bowman's role in all of this? Or what's Bowman like as a person? That's what you really want to ask, right? Well, I'm not going to get into details, but he's basically the commander-in-chief. If it wasn't for him, none of this would be happening. All of the software, all of the Union Ag promotion, it all starts here. Charles Bowman created all of it. Well, yeah, sure, but I don't want to talk about that. After. Well, he died in the explosion. I'm sure you know all of this. But Bowman was the one who really held it all together. His company's grown exponentially since he took over, and we're all grateful. Well, enough not to want to tarnish his memory, Mr. Miller. Next question. I do. I'm basically second in command now, so I have a lot of responsibilities. The company has a more singular set of goals now, and I'm happy to be a part of that. About the company? Sure. I wouldn't be very good at my job if I didn't, would I? Excuse me, Mr. Miller. What the hell are you talking about? That's an extraordinarily offensive thing to ask. Not to mention out of left field. Nobody here is a racist. Where the hell did you get off asking something like that? Well, that's the first I've heard of it. But if that's what he said, then he spared us from having to hear it. Until now, anyway. I feel you can guess my stance on the matter. Out of interest, who's made that accusation? Couldn't or won't? You know what? I actually do want to find out the answer to that. I'm not comfortable continuing this line of questioning, Mr. Miller. Well, I'm sure he's got a very good reason for keeping it to himself. The company's policies are complex. I wouldn't expect you to get it. You're writing this for your book or report or whatever, right? Well, I want this part of the meeting stricken from the record, please. I'm not sure if that's a question or... Well, people are scared of things they don't understand. That's all. I think the key thing to take from this is that if you want to make the country better, then you can't be frightened to offend a few minorities. That's the best way I can put it. What doesn't offend them? The most common thing I hear is that people are going to be kicked out of the country. Now, I can't help that from happening, so I try to avoid letting it affect my work. But I hear it over and over, like no one wants to admit the border control problem. Let me put it like this. You leave your window open in your house one summer's day and a whole bunch of flies come in. You try to remove them, but the flies are coming in faster than you can get them out. Do you want to keep trying to catch the flies, Mr. Miller? Or do you perhaps want to think about shutting the window? I shouldn't have expected you to understand, Mr. Miller. It's a piece of software. We call it Digital Shadow Casting. DSC for short. Silhouette is its working title. Sorry, I know not everybody talks nerd, but do you understand technology, or you want me to elaborate a little? Sure. It installs a background OS that copies any and all information used on a computer. After a certain amount of data is gathered, or after a certain time, the data is packaged and sent to the Silhouette server in the basement, where we collate and serialize the data however we'd like. We have an algorithm that can highlight pertinent tagged matches, commerce, economics, political values, home living, etc. We sort it all and then macroanalyze the nation's preferences. It's pretty amazing, really, and we're the first company to make use of the tech. What did you think we did here? I mean, really, it's all written in black and white. The Union Act, Mr. Miller. The country is about to vote it in. Well, yeah, part of it, sure. You'd have to read the Union Act for yourself. I'm not a lawyer or a politician, Mr. Miller. It's not something I'm happy getting into. It's all legal. The Union Act is a contract. If people want it, they vote for it. Other than that, I just do my job and try to keep my head down. How so? That's because they're focused on immigration. They really shouldn't be. I mean, we gather information on people in the system. If they're not a part of the system, if they don't have a national insurance number, there's nothing to gather. It's just common sense. You can't crunch the data if you can't gather it. But the act is so much bigger than that. You read the news and everyone thinks we're... The immigrant problem is just a small byproduct of the act. Processing data is what it's really all about. And the Silhouette is how we do that. Trust the news to completely miss the point. That's a very crude way of putting it. That's the basic idea, sure. We're not getting away with anything. We're doing our jobs. Speaking for myself, I'm not here to school the mob outside on what I do for a living. I see them every day, screaming, shouting, hurling objects at my staff. They can't be reasoned with. They can't be made to understand because they've already made up their minds. And the newspapers haven't cottoned on either. It's not my fault. And it sure as hell is not my problem. I'm saying I'm not responsible. That's very different. Now, shall we move on? About the explosion? Well, pretty much what everyone else knows about it. I don't really know what you want me to say. You must know everything that I do. I was having a smoke in the courtyard. Luckily, I wasn't close enough to the blast, but I saw the whole thing. Probably in her office. Room 105. Anything else, Mr. Miller? Well, nothing. We weren't allowed back into the premises for over a week. Even then, only a handful of us were here to make sure things carried on running. The police were still here, and a detective was snooping around. I couldn't do anything without someone watching over me, or telling me to log what I was doing. Whatever they found, they didn't share it with me. I read it in the paper like everyone else. Some kind of bomb, I guess, on the gas lines. At least that's what the news said. We have a report of the official findings downstairs somewhere. Don't you believe me? Yeah, basically the gas line. She says he wrote some kind of code that overheated the servers, she thinks. He was a talented coder, much as I hate to admit it. He found out that the servers were close to a gas line that came from an external propane store and, well, you know the rest. What? Where did you get that? I thought the police had taken all of the archive data for their investigation. So, the servers had been overheating for almost a year. How was this a thing without me knowing about it? Right. So, couldn't he have been making them overheat for nearly a year? Isn't that the same thing? He wrote some bad code and waited it out. I don't see how that's any different. Either way, Alex found a way to blow up the servers and get vengeance for his family. Ah. Okay. I see your point. So, then maybe he... I can't wrap my head around this. I know Alex did it, so this must be some kind of... I don't know. A moment ago, you were probably wondering if I did it, weren't you? Look, I can't talk for anyone else, but I don't know what to say. This changes a few things. Are you just trying to catch me out? Or do you actually care about this, Mr. Miller?
Excuse me, Mr. Crow. I need to have a word with you.
Can it wait, Dan? I'm in the middle of something here.
I'm aware of that. That's what I want to talk to you about.
Right. Why are you here? Right. It's come to my attention that you may have been collecting sensitive information in that briefcase of yours. I'm gonna need you to hand them over, please. I'm gonna pass them along to Charles Bowman, and when or if you have your meeting, he can decide what he wants to do with them.
Steve, please take Mr. Miller's belongings over to Mr. Bowman's office.
Sorry about this.
Oh, and we'll also need that dossier of yours. Right. Well, Mr. Miller, it seems as though this meeting is over. I'll look forward to hearing what Charles Bowman has to say about what you've been up to. Get him out of my sight.
Right, Mr. Miller. Let's go.
Keep it down, Charles. You wake the children.
I don't see what you're going to achieve by keeping your share. Why not just sign it over to me? We both want the same thing here.
We don't want the same thing, though, do we? You don't mind if hundreds of people lose their home in the process?
Yes.
No, there's no grey here. There's a very clear answer.
I don't believe that.
Charles, voice.
I don't believe that. What are you going to do when there are protests calling for this company's dismantling? What will you do then? Oh, maybe you always wanted this to fail. You're risking jeopardizing all of Michael's work. You always resented him for working such long hours. If he wasn't trying to get the changes you wanted in, then he'd probably still be here. Look.
Get out. Mr. Miller, it's Scarlett Carson. Don't talk, just listen. We've not got much time. Get yourself into the IPA building. There's something I want you to see. I'll explain more when you're in. Hello, Mr. Miller. You may have guessed already, but I've been following your investigation throughout the day. I wanted to get in touch sooner, but I could never find the right moment.
Detective Holden, the time is 5:30 p.m. on June 17th, 1987. They say Alex Dubois entered through here on the night of the 10th of April. Daniel Hilburn informed me that security was busy locking up in the Bowman building for the night, so he had the building to himself. Alex's claim is that he can prove he wasn't using his keycard in the building that night, and that he was there for a meeting with Sarah Smith, the head of the IPA. If I can locate the record, that at least gives me a bit of evidence to work with. Alex claims that Dan always keeps a copy of the safe code written on the back of a coupon for gardening equipment close by to his desk, so let's see, shall we? Ah, yes, this is something. Okay, I've located the document and will fax it. Now, I should probably place this back where I found it. No floppy disks detected.
I'm sure you've heard enough about Alex Dubois by now. I saw him earlier that evening. He was acting very erratic. He wasn't doing himself any favors. It was far too believable that he could have done it. I hate to admit it, but even I wondered whether Alex was capable of doing something like that. Detective Holden, the time is 6:45 a.m. on June 20th. Something was troubling me last night, so I wanted to get an early start. I interviewed Alison Whitworth yesterday, and it seems as though something was being held back. We were communicating through Chance Crow, the department head of the Meta Center, who I have yet to interview. However, from her posture and hesitant responses, it seems as though the full story wasn't quite being told. This led me back to her office at 7 a.m. on a Saturday morning. Oh, I'd better be right on this one. Detective Holden, the time is 9:23 a.m. on June 20th. I've spent the last few hours looking at all of her work, and at a glance, it looks like a repair shop, but she's actually a talented inventor. It really is fascinating stuff. Something that caught my eye, though, is that it seems she's been working on an algorithm with... I'll write this down there. Vicky Edmonds in the Bowman building for the Silhouette software, which could prevent overheating. This, of course, was a large contributing factor in the explosion caused on the 10th of April 1987.
No floppy disks detected.
You have to believe me, Mr. Miller. If I'd known, I would never have taken his ID card that night. I needed it to finish up some work, and I'd misplaced mine. It was technically against company policy, but I didn't keep mind. But once the information got out there that he'd been logged where he shouldn't have been, and once the papers had their narrative established, it didn't matter. None of it mattered. No evidence anyone could have provided could have changed it.
Detective Holden, 10:42 a.m. on June 20th. I promised myself I wouldn't get involved with the politics here, but it's impossible not to let it affect you. Names, numbers, all written down, just thousands of people's futures decided by this one company. How are they allowed so much control? Anyway, I'm here to locate Alex Dubois' file. I was told it could be found in filing cabinet HG02, row 10. I can't see anything in here. Let's get a bit of light on the situation. Okay, I have the documented information. I believe I just need to compile the code on the large machine in the corner of the room. So, here goes.
The devastation it caused, the political unrest. People are heartbroken and angry about how it's all unfolded, rightly so in my mind. They deserve answers. I know you're with me. I believe this asset can't see the light of day. This just goes to show how important the work you're doing is.
Detective Holden, 10 p.m. on June 25th. I think I've just about figured it out. The issue is that each time I copy a file onto the disk, the contents become corrupted whilst going through the data wipe gates. Meaning I have to go back and copy the files again. The location is 300. I've got my first scheduled meeting with Scarlett Carson in an hour, so if I'm going to get over to her house, I'd better leave now. I'll make a note to inquire about this Silhouette server in the hopes that I can, somehow, connect the missing pieces.
No floppy disks detected.
Alex's poor family. No, I had no involvement in their deportation. It was all Charles Bowman's doing. How he didn't think Alex would find out is beyond me. Banning people from the country, for God's sake. I just couldn't go along with it anymore. I lost my himself that night. So I can relate to what Alex was going through. There should be a disk named Silhouette. If you insert it into the server and clear the records, anyone who has private information on the IPA server will be removed. You'll be saving countless people. Harvey, you did it. You have no idea. I was right about you. I knew you'd do the right thing.
Steve, I've had a security alert. I've paged you the location.
It changes nothing. What happened, happened. And thankfully, you removed the last remaining evidence that could tie anything back to me. The Silhouette disc. So, I appreciate your help with that. Please hurry, Harvey. I must go. You only have 30 minutes. Come and see me after your meeting. I'll explain everything. Oh, Charles. What are you doing here?
Please sit down, Scarlett.
Charles? Oh, wait. Wes? No. No, you wouldn't. What the hell have you done?
Scarlet, please, sit down.
Sit down! Do you think taking my children's going to stop me?
Stop you from doing what exactly?
Where did you take them?
This is far more important right now.
More important
We
than...
need stability. The country needs stability, and this act provides that. Work with me.
This country needs its freedom. Michael wouldn't have agreed to this. He's the one that started this act, and he did it...
Michael is dead. This country is a far different place than it was 3 years ago, Scarlet. There's rioting in the streets, for God's sake. We need tighter security now more than ever. People on our doorstep want to hurt us. I can't allow that.
That's not your decision to make. The people need to know that their government is lying to them, and you can't threaten me into silence on this.
You can't see this right now, but you don't have another choice here.
Charles?
Open the file.
Is anyone here?
Hello?
Hello, Mr. Miller. You have a meeting with Charles Bowman on floor 3. I'm sure you know the drill by now. That'll be all.
Harvey, we've lost everything.
I'm not quite sure what the plan should be now. You're in the building where they house all the information, right? Do you remember in our reports, it mentioned that Scarlett Carson was trying to steal the information on the night of the 10th of April? I mean, we could try and do the same? It's putting ourselves at a bit of a risk, but what do we have to lose at this point? We're just gonna have to copy all the files we can and sort through all the data to hopefully salvage our report that way. Maybe even use it as a bargaining chip with Charles Bowman. If we can't question Charles Bowman, you're gonna have to go to Scarlett Carson's house to get her side of the story and complete the report.
Please enter PIN. Code denied. Please swipe again. Please enter PIN. Code accepted. Access granted. No floppy disks detected. No floppy disks detected.